Windows Container Support is currently in preview. To enable this preview, we have to run a couple of commands before we can start creating Windows containers in AKS. So on the screen I have all the commands I'm going to run. The first one is AZ extension, so we just run that. This basically adds the AZ extension for the AKS preview. As you can see, I already have it installed on this laptop. So if you already have it installed, you can run the next command, which is the update command. This will go ahead and update the extension to the latest version. As you can see, I have no updates available, so we get a nice bit of red text. All good, I'm on the latest version. So now we can register the Windows preview by using the next command. So now that's finished, let's run the next command. This one's going to create a nice little table to tell us that we are still registering the installation. So this can take a little while, so I'm going to pause the video here until it's finished. So let's check to see if it's registered. And it's still registering, so I'm going to pause it again and hopefully soon it will be registered. So a bit more time has passed. Let's check again to see if it's registered. Success, we've registered, brilliant. So now that's the feature registered, we have to register the provider. I've got another command for that. This one is a lot quicker than the last one. And there we go. So that's all of the preview steps out of the way. We can move on to creating the actual cluster. I have a command here using the AZ AKS create. What it does is it uses the resource group pixel win AKS-RG. It creates a cluster called pixel win AKS. It puts it in UK South. I'm going to use the standard B1LS VM size for this. This is because the first node pool in an AKS cluster has to be Linux. I only want this to be a Windows one, so I'm using the smallest VM size I can to save costs. I'm going to use one node for the Linux VM. It's going to use Kubernetes version 1.13.5. It will generate some SSH keys. I've got a basic password in here and a username for the Windows VMs. It's going to use virtual machine scale sets, and I'm going to use a network plugin Azure. So if I copy this command, just make sure that's copied, and then just paste that into here. Azure will go off and create me my AKS cluster. As you can see, we get a warning to say that the behavior of this command has been altered because we've installed the AKS preview. So it seems the VM size I picked isn't actually allowed to be used in the UK South. So I've just changed the size of the VM to standard B2S, which is inside this list just here. So let me copy the command and run it again. So as we've already created the service principals, we won't be creating them again with this command. So hopefully it should run a tiny bit quicker. So the cluster finished creating successfully. We have a nice bit of output here all about the creation of the cluster, so that's all good. Now we can actually create our first Windows node pool. So to do that, I have another command here which uses AKS node pool add. So I'm going to use the same resource group, the same cluster name. The OS type is Windows. The name for the AKS node pool is WinNP, so Windows node pool. You can change this, but it has to be 6 characters only at the moment. I'm going to use one node, and I'm going to use Kubernetes version 1.13.5. So just copy and paste that in. This will go off to Azure, create a VM scale set with Windows in the AKS cluster. This could also take a little while, so I'm just going to pause the video again. And there we have it. The Windows node pool has been created. So next thing is we need to connect up to the AKS cluster, so we can actually check it and add a website to it. So we're going to install the CLI tools for Kubernetes using the AKS install-CLI command. So that's going to download the client for us and install it. There we go, nicely installed. Now I'm going to get the credentials to log into my AKS cluster. I have already named a cluster this name previously, so I'm going to use the overwrite switch to make sure I pick up this cluster. And that's merged it into my kube-config. Just to make sure I'm connected, we will use the kubectl get nodes command. There you go. We have our AKS WinNP node pool and the AKS node pool 1, which was the first one we created. So now I am going to apply a YAML file that I created. It lives in my Git repo. It's just a basic website running on Windows Server Core container image. It also creates a service called Hello World, which will create a load balancer in Azure with a public IP that we can use to connect to the website. To get the public IP, we can use the next command, which is get service hello world with the switch watch. This will basically keep watching this resource until the external IP changes. It can take a little while depending on how busy Azure is, I've noticed. So we just wait for that to happen. There we go. We've got a nice public IP address for our website. So I'm just going to Control-C out of this, copy the IP address. I'm then going to open up a browser. I'm going to then paste the IP address in the address bar. And hopefully we should have a nice little basic website saying hello world with my little logo on it. If you get a page saying like this one, what you could find is that the container hasn't actually finished creating yet. So we can use the kubectl get pods command to check our container. As you can see, the container is still creating. Because Windows Server Core is around about 5 gigs in size, it can take a little while for it to pull down. So we can use the same command again with the watch switch to watch until the container is ready. Good news, the container is running, so we can go back to the web browser and refresh, and hopefully we should have our website. There you go. A Windows container running on Azure Kubernetes services in less than 20 minutes. Amazing. All of the commands and the YAML file can be found on my blog, pixelrobots.co.uk. I will also leave the link in the description below. If you have liked this video and found it helpful, please give it a thumbs up. Feel free to subscribe to this channel also, and if you click on the notification bell, you'll get notified every time I upload a new video, which will hopefully be a lot more often. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.